How many times have you been on an antibiotic and did you follow it up with a probiotic? How about your kids? How about your parents? I'm not here to make you feel bad. Sometimes we just don't know any better, but if you found me, then you're looking for natural solutions. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button so that you can be notified every time I upload a new video and we can stay connected. I'm Wendy Frazier. I'm here to help the over 40 crowd keep nutrition, gut health, and overall wellness simple. So today I'm going to offer you 3 alternatives to using antibiotics for most of the things that go wrong in your health. And I'm going to lay out the pros and the cons of probiotics versus antibiotics. So you get to see firsthand some lab testing that I've done, the befores and the afters, so that you can be more educated and then make choices that make sense for you. But I do want to start with a disclaimer. There are definitely certain situations that are very extreme and could require antibiotic support, and I'm not here to claim that those are not legitimate or that you should not seek real help if you are actually in a dire situation. That's not what I'm talking about. But I dare to say that 90% of the time, you're going to help your family be antibiotic free with the tools I'm going to share with you today. So let's take a look at a specific lab test before and after. So here you can see this person's what's called a GI map. And a GI map is basically a stool test that allows us to see the whole lay of the land of your microbiome. The good bacteria, the bad bacteria, opportunistic bacteria, parasites. We can test for things like H. pylori, E. coli. We can see the health of your intestinal lining, whether or not you have a gluten sensitivity. There are just a lot of things we can test for. This particular person came to me because she had had severe constipation for many years after a traumatic life event that included a specific surgery. She was only going to the bathroom once every 3 weeks. There are many different parts of this GI map, but what I want to show you is right here. This section is the beneficial bacteria section. And you can see that when she first came, her beneficial bacteria was a little bit low, but overall things look pretty good and within normal ranges for the most part here. These protocols are typically 90 days long, and we check in once a month, and at the end of the 90 days, when the protocol's over, we'll do a retest to see where the gut's at. So I got her lab results just a few days before our final phone call together and was alarmed to see that she had been doing so well up to that point, telling me that her symptoms had greatly improved. She was feeling so much better. She had better habits in place. She was going to the bathroom every single day. She was feeling really great. And when I saw this lab test, I was like really alarmed and started to, go through all the possible scenarios. There were just things that didn't look good, Basically, if you look at this section right here, the Bacteroidetes phyla, this basically is like a classification of a whole group of good bacteria in your gut, and they make up 80% of the good bacteria in your gut. And to put that in perspective, we have more bacteria in our gut than we do DNA in our body. Bacteria drives everything that we do. When I looked at this, I was alarmed and worried that maybe I had done something wrong. Gosh, had I issued the wrong protocol or suggested the wrong, supplementation? I was confused. But I decided the best way to handle this was just to have a conversation with her, because it just didn't make any sense. So when we spoke on the phone, I asked her how she was feeling, and she said, I had been feeling so good up until about 3 weeks ago. I thought I had a yeast infection, so I went to my doctor and asked for an antibiotic. She said that after she took the antibiotic, her gut health started to take a turn for the worse again, and she hadn't been feeling very good and was struggling to go to the bathroom. One of the jobs of our good bacteria is to keep the bad bacteria inside of our gut sort of under control. Think of it like, bullies in the neighborhood. When you have low beneficial bacteria, these bad guys are allowed to kind of go rampant. And you can see this on her follow-up test. So what do I recommend? If you or somebody in your family just cannot seem to stay well, and you find yourself like kind of wishing that you could just go get that antibiotic, I suggest taking a probiotic every day, especially one that has a lot of a variety of strains, plus bacteriophages. I am so excited to tell you about bacteriophages. So this is one really exciting avenue of research. Bacteriophages were first discovered in 1915 by William Twort. And in 1917, a guy named Felix realized that these had the potential to kill bacteria. You may not have heard of bacteriophages before, but they're actually a natural part of our gastrointestinal system. And there's a lot of them. in our gut. But bacteriophages aren't actually bacteria. They're actually healthy viruses that can go in and infect and eliminate certain pathogenic bacteria or bad guys. Because bacteriophages are so smart, they selectively target harmful bacteria, but they leave the beneficial microbes behind basically to clean up the mess. The use of bacteriophages was actually common in Europe prior to the discovery of antibiotics. So bacteriophages are particularly beneficial when they're used in combination with probiotics. They are found in seawater, soil, fermented food, and people. In fact, we actually have 10 more times bacteriophage in our body than we do bacteria. Is your mind starting to be blown? So taking a supplement that has both probiotic and targeted bacteriophage can help to keep a balance of the good and the bad bacteria in our gut without causing the harm that antibiotics can do. If you want to know what I consider to be some of the best supplements for gut health and bloating, be sure to stick around to the end where I'm going to share with you what my favorites are and how to access them. The number 2 thing that I would do instead of relying on antibiotics is to use certain essential oils every day, specifically that contain cinnamon and clove. And here's what the truth is. When I am consistent with myself and my family using this particular oil blend, we do not get the gunk that gets passed around at school, in the neighborhood, or at our church. The key to using essential oils as a method of prevention is to use them every single day. I put them either on my feet or my spine. And it's really easy once you make it a habit. I get up in the morning and the first thing I do if I'm going to go for a walk is I put this essential oil either on my spine or my feet, put my shoes on, go for my walk. My mom was getting sick every single year. She usually ended up with some kind of like bronchial thing that would last and linger for months in the winter. I was constantly telling her, Mom, use these particular essential oils. They will help you, you know. Sometimes it's hard to hear that from your own family if you're somebody that likes natural stuff. My mom and I weren't living in the same state. So my sister was. She went and filled a roller bottle and filled it up with the oils that I had recommended for my mom and had her just stick it right next to her nightstand. And every night before she went to bed, she would rub those oils on her feet, and she also rubbed them on her chest because that's where she was experiencing symptoms. That was probably 7 years ago, and she has not been sick since then. So a really great way to avoid the possible need for antibiotics is to boost your immune system and keep it in a place of prevention that eliminates your need or greatly reduces it. I would actually challenge you to use a blend of essential oils with clove and cinnamon and some others every single day for 30 days. If you want to know what essential oil blend that is, or if you think you know what it is, put it in the comments. And if you've ever used essential oils for your immunity before, let me know what you're using. Okay, and finally, number 3 is nature's antibiotic itself, oregano oil. In 2018, the NIH, which is government-funded research, published this article where they shared their research of the efficacy of oregano oil as a, quote, antibacterial. The results showed 13 bacteria where, quote, oregano showed a significant antibacterial activity. The main active ingredients in oregano are thymol and carbachol. In particular, carbachol has had a ton of testing as an antimicrobial agent in food to control gram-positive and gram-negative pathogens. That is a really big deal. And then there's a long list: Bacillus cereus, Enterococcus, Listeria, Staphylococcus, Escherichia. I know I'm saying a lot of these names, but these are bugs that can really, really cause a lot of harm in the body and hurt us. So it's very exciting because the research shows great efficacy with oregano essential oil. Let's say I have a sinus issue that I might normally run to the doctor and request an antibiotic for. I would use 4 drops of oregano oil inside of a veggie cap 3 times a day for 4 days. This is a veggie cap, and you open it just like that. I'm going to show you how I fill that with oregano oil. So I've got my bottle of oil here, and I'm taking the taller end of the veggie cap and that's it. And now I'm going to take the top. You can feel that little pop snap. You can see that little amount of oregano oil ready to go. Now, I do not recommend that you take any old oregano oil. There's only one company that I trust to take internally. You've probably heard me talk about it on other videos, but there's one company that has done the most testing, has the most integrity, and you can be 100% sure that you're getting exactly what you have signed up for, which is, in this case, oregano oil. So anyways, if it were me, I would put 4 drops of oregano oil inside of a capsule and take it 3 times a day, just the same way that you would an antibiotic. But I would also add to that probiotic that has bacteriophages in it. Let's say that I had like a sore on my body that looks suspicious. I would take that same oregano oil and I would dilute it with some coconut oil. So this is just some coconut oil. And I would dilute it like 1 drop in a teaspoon, and I would rub it over the area, and I would do that 3 times a day. That's how I would create like my own topical quote antibiotic. Okay, if you're listening to me and you don't like either of those options, then I would like to introduce you to my favorite way to use essential oils, which is on the feet. If I wake up and I'm not feeling good, you know, sometimes you wake up and you're just like, I have a headache or my body aches or I feel really run down, and you just know that you're like, this is not good. Those are the days that I wake up and I immediately will put 2 to 3 drops on each foot of oregano oil right when I wake up in the morning and before I go to bed. And if I have time, I'll do it in the middle of the day too. It is my go-to for stopping anything in its tracks before it even has a chance to get any traction. I do not mess around with this because I do not like to be sick, and I do not like my family to be sick. Now that you know better, you can do better. Again, remember, this applies to most things in your life. There are those exceptions where you might need to go, but I'm telling you, if you live a life of prevention, 90% of the things, there is a natural option. But I'll tell you, in the last 12 years of my experience, 90% of the time, we have not needed an antibiotic. And isn't it wonderful to know that now you have some natural options that not only work, but can also at the same time keep your gut healthy and not do any damage. Be sure to watch my next video, Transform Your Gut Health, where I actually teach you step-by-step how and what to eat to rebuild your microbiome if you have taken antibiotics and never taken a chance to really intentionally build it back up so that it doesn't continue to harbor any of that bad bacteria. In the meantime, be sure to grab my free report down in the description, just like I promised, the best supplements for gut health and bloating. Again, you can find that down below in the description. Let me know how this video landed for you and what your thoughts are on antibiotics. And as always, please share the video with anybody you can think of who might need this.